Time now for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Brought to you by New Stopette, America's leading spray deodorant. Now with its anti-immunity factor. Poof! There goes perspiration. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose news column on Hollywood personalities appears each month in Motion Picture Magazine, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left tonight, a young gentleman who stars in his own daily television show and also has a hit choral record called Collegiate, Mr. Robert Q. Lewis.
Well, thank you, Dorothy. To my left, thanks, Dorothy. To my left sits not only a beautiful lady, but a lady who was just awarded a citation for outstanding service in her profession last night by Emerson College in Boston, Miss Arlene France.
Thank you, Robert Q. And on my left, a gentleman whose new book, The Encyclopedia of Modern Humor, is called by the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune the ideal Christmas gift for 1954. Congratulations, Bennett, Cerf.
Thank you. $3.95. It's not 1954. We're a versatile lot. For instance, the gentleman on my left, versatile rascal, who just won the Sylvania Award for his open hearings, a series on, unfortunately, another network, Mr. John Charles Daly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Once again tonight, we're going to try to give the panel a rough time of it, make our guests happy, mostly by letting them have some fun. We hope they also carry home some small monetary rewards. The whole business, of course, having to do with what the panel can do about finding out what their line is. And we'll also have a famous guest challenger on a bit later on, but I think now is the time for our experts to meet the first challenger whose line has to be spotted. So would you sign in, please, sir? Charles W. Wilson. Charles W. Howard. Right, sir? How are you, Mr. Howard?
Fine, thank you.
Good.
Fine.
Where are you from, sir?
I'm from Albin, New York.
Elbin?
Albin, A-L-B-I-O-N.
Well, it's very... Is that upstate, is it?
That's right.
Well, I got to send you upstage, so I hope you won't mind.
Okay.
We've got a panel over there who would like to get a closer look at you. Will you go let them do that?
Howard, where is Albin? Near Rochester?
Halfway between Buffalo and Rochester, sir.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Now that we know where you're located.
Good country up there. Nice to see you,
The best
Mr.
in the
Howard.
world.
All right, Mr. Howard, if you will, over here now, please, and sit down with me. And you probably know, sir, that the panel gets one free guess as to what your line may be to start things off. We'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a department store Santa Claus.
Mr. Lewis.
I think Mr. Howard is a college professor.
Miss Francis.
I think he's a happy second-hand car salesman.
Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Howard has a fiendish gleam in his eye. I think he's a dentist.
Well, some interesting answers, but nobody had the right one, so we'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. Charles Howard, and at the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. All right, Mr. Howard, you know how we score this opus? Every time you can say no, I flip a card, okay? Mr. Howard is self-employed. Let's begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Mr. Howard, do you deal in services?
Yes.
Do your services make people happier?
Yes.
You seem rather dubious. Do you ever wear anything that you're not wearing now when you do your work?
Yes.
Is it quite radically different?
Yes.
Are you ever more covered up than you are now?
Yes.
Are you ever more covered up around the chin?
Well, I might be.
I can't help playing my hunch. Are you in what might be termed a costume?
Yes.
Would children be particularly interested in you?
I think so.
Is your suit red?
Yes.
Do you really come from the North Pole and not Albion?
No.
Well, we won't let that stand as an official no, Miss Dorothy.
Well, do you do some type of Kris Kringle or Santa Claus work?
Yes, he does some kind of Kris Kringle or Santa Claus work.
Well, I said department store Santa Claus, and I got nowhere. So do you do some other type of Santa Claus work?
Yes.
Do you ever do it in the home?
Yes.
Do you visit homes on Christmas Eve?
No.
No, he doesn't. This is getting real tricky now. 1 down and 9 to go, Bob Lewis.
Well, I have a little hunch now, Mr. Kringle, Mr. Howard. You, perhaps, maybe my hunch will tie in with Dorothy's. Do you instruct other people on how to play the part of Santa Claus?
I'm afraid I do.
That's exactly right. Mr. Howard runs the Santa Claus school.
You know, he's a wonderful, wonderful face.
Maid daughter, I must say we thought we'd tie you in knots with that one, but we didn't tie you in knots. But never let it be said that Santa Claus found us wanting. So it's flipped the cards. Flip them all at once, I always say. Mr. Howard, I thank you very much for being our guest. I'm sorry we didn't give him more trouble, but I think perhaps you enjoyed your stay. I know we enjoyed your visit with us.
Well, I tell you, Christmas is coming, and of course those black marks in Santa Claus's big book might get bigger.
That's it. That's it. Thank you very much, sir. Nice to have you on. I think it might be said for Mr. Howard that it's pretty nice to look so much like Santa Claus that you can't disguise the fact. Well, let's see what you all can do with another challenger. Would you sign in, please, ma'am? Jean M. Jean M. Howie. That's right. Biggest night I've had since the show started. I got to put 2 periods in tonight. Having a wonderful time. Is it Miss or Mrs.? Mrs. Howie. Where are you from, Mrs. Howie?
Kilmarnock, Scotland.
Kilmarnock in Scotland.
Scotland.
Well, that's wonderful, having somebody all the way from Scotland here. I got a very bad Scotch accent. Would you like to hear it for a bit? Eh?
Oh, good, listen.
I know a very fine story about a tailor in Edinburgh, but it takes too long to tell it. And if you can see the panel, they know they've heard me tell it. It takes 2 days. But the panel doesn't have much of a chance to really get to know you when you're way over here. So will you take a wee bit of a walk down there, please?
Hello. What a fine bonny looking lad.
How do you do?
And now, Mrs. Howie, if you will, over here, please, and sit down next to me. And at this point, we always let the panel have 1 free guess. Would you come in a bit closer? Thank you. 1 free guess as to what your line may be. We begin the free guesses with Dorothy Kilgallen.
I think she writes poetry.
Writes poetry, Mr. Lewis.
I think Miss Howie plays a hot bagpipe with the Edinburgh Jazz Five.
Miss Francis.
I think she makes Scotch scones.
Mr. Cerf.
I think she's a gardener.
Well, there's Bennett. Not even a pun. Now, what do you know? Nobody had anything right either. No, I'm afraid not. We'll let our viewers have another look at Mrs. Jean Howie, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. All right, now, Mrs. Howie, you may not know how we score this. Every time you can give the panel a no answer, we flip a card, you see, and when we've had 10 cards flipped over, you've won the game, and they retire from the field. Are you all set?
Yes.
All right. Mrs. Howie is salaried. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Robert Q. Lewis.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Let me have a small conflict.
Couldn't resist that one.
Would you ask a question? Now, we got to stop this. Now, this is getting to be a
Well,
bad
I think
practice.
that is a foregone conclusion, is it not, John? If the lady is Scottish, that it must be a profit-making organization.
Oh, was that your question,
Well, I should
Bob?
hope- Yes, sir.
That's
No.
1 down and 9 to go. All right, Miss Francis.
Do you work for some branch of a government?
Yes.
Is it the government of the country that you come from?
Yes.
Do you have a position here?
No.
That makes it 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, Mrs. Howie, would you by any chance be engaged in jumping back and forth between Scotland and the United States?
No.
What a jump. 3 down, 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Swimming.
Mrs. Howie, is there any product involved in what you
Yes.
do? Is it a product that is sold in Scotland?
No.
That makes it 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Lewis.
It is a product which is not sold in Scotland.
No.
Oh, well, that's probably... is it a product that I might have come in contact with?
You could.
As Mrs. Howie says, you could. Mm-hmm.
Might this be an unpleasant type of contact for
Yes.
me? It would.
Would
Yes.
be.
And this product is a manufactured thing, is it?
Yes.
Is it, does it have any moving parts?
Yes.
It has moving parts. Is this a product, it is not sold in Scotland,
No.
but it is made in Scotland?
Yes.
Is this an exportable product, then?
Yes.
Would we find many of them in the States? And
Yes.
is that the reason? Well, now this is an unpleasant product. Would you say it was metal? It mostly,
Yes.
and it has moving parts,
Yes.
and it is unpleasant.
Yes.
I know nothing of metal with unpleasant moving parts, and I passed in the class.
All right. Miss Arlene.
I'm just curious about why they haven't got any in Scotland.
Well, now, actually, I don't want to confuse you on this. With specific reference to the identification of the product with Mrs. Howie, it can be described as not sold in Scotland. This does not deny the premise that it might initially have been purveyed for some monetary consideration in Scotland at an earlier date.
Excuse me, John, may we have a conference?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Do we have
old boy.
any of you
30
know
seconds.
what in the world he's talking about?
I heard him say something, but I don't understand a word he's
I
saying.
quite agree.
No. Perhaps you could put that into English for us.
What I meant to say was that although with specific reference to Mrs. Howie's identification with this product, it can be described as not sold in Scotland, but this does not deny the possibility that at an earlier date it was purveyed for some monetary consideration.
Oh, I see. Oh, do I?
Thank you, John.
All righty. Shall we go on, then?
Yes, rather.
Pip, pip. Is this something, you say that you do work for the government, then. Is this something that would have to do with any arm of the law?
Yes.
Wait a minute, I have a small conference.
I knew he would.
Mrs. Howie very generously has reconsidered this whole matter.
And I
we'll
get a
change
no?
the answer to a no. That's
Thank
right. 5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Howie, I'm thrown off by this metal business. When you said it wasn't sold in Scotland, I thought first it was a gift certificate. But you say it has metal in it.
Yes.
Is it used ever in warfare?
Yes.
Is it some kind of, might it be described as ammunition?
Yes.
Generally described as ammunition, yes.
And it has moving parts.
Yes.
Is it ever fired from a ship?
Yes.
Might it possibly
Wait a
be...
minute. Got to have a
I'd
conference.
include submarines, John. A ship
That's
includes
real good of you.
submarines.
You include submarines.
Rowboats are definitely out.
Mrs. Howie has very generously reconsidered this whole matter, and you get a no. 6 down and 4 to go, and I'm going to give you 1 more minute to get it. Miss Kilgallen.
Well, is it explosive?
Yes.
Would it be used by ground troops?
Yes.
Would it be used by ground troops? I would say there we would have to...
By or on?
No. No changes. 7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Miss Howie, would it ever be used on ground troops?
Yes.
Thanks. Well, this sounds like a pretty darn unpleasant product.
Scotch tape.
I was noticing your face. You look rather sad. Is it a form of bomb?
Yes.
Yes.
The product is a bomb. Now,
Now,
we
what
must
does Mrs.
determine-
Howie have to do with bombs?
Oh, I do hope little or nothing.
She's making a bomb out of us.
Pretty little Scottish lass probably designs them, do you?
That's
No.
8 down and 2 to go, Miss Francis.
I sincerely hope you don't test them.
9 down and 1 to go, Mr. Cerf.
You make them.
Nose destroys obsolete bombs left over from World War II. And just in case somebody missed it, Bennett Cerf said Mrs. Howie is making a bomb out of the panel. Well, I tried, Bennett. Mrs. Howie, we're certainly glad you stumped the panel. Hope you had a nice visit. It's good of you to have come be with us, coming all the way from Scotland. Thanks for being our guest on What's My Line. Come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends on the panel have blindfolds for this part of the program. Are they all in place, panel?
Yes.
They are.
Good. Will you come in, mystery celebrity, and sign in, please? All right, panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery celebrity, we always get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Bennett Cerf.
Well, whistles from the audience usually connote a show personality. Would you describe yourself as somebody from show business?
Well, I do declare that you're right, sir. Yes, sirree.
Of the male persuasion, I take it.
Yes, sirree.
Very persuasive.
Would you say that you had ever shown in motion pictures?
Well, I made a few pictures in Hollywood, back in California. Sure.
There's an echo here tonight.
Yeah.
Don't look so stunned now.
Either there's an echo or there are two mystery guests tonight. Is it possible that we have two mystery guests tonight?
No, sir.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
What does that mean?
That means that there are not 2 mystery guests here tonight.
The gentleman has only one head.
And all of that is coming out of it.
Have you ever appeared in a vaudeville or presentation house?
I beg your pardon?
Well, have you ever appeared live as well as in motion pictures?
Yes, I certainly did. Yeah.
I get more than one voice, too. Are there more than 2 of you?
Are there more than 2? Golly day, I knew Dorothy was going to ask that question. Will you answer it?
No, lady.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Let's establish something. You are you alone, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's the strangest accent I have ever encountered. You are in the motion picture. Are you American?
Well, I wasn't exactly born in the U.S., but I certainly picked up a strange accent, you must admit.
You were not born in the States.
No, sir.
You are a European film star working, I imagine, in the States.
I'd say that. Yeah.
Is your place of birth in Europe?
That's right.
Boy, that's a beautiful job of an American accent. Oh, are you possibly French?
Well, you've got a point there, sir. Certainly have.
A few little things give you away. Are you, John, is this gentleman someone that the Bobby Soxers might be very excited about?
Yes, sir.
Are you married to a beautiful American motion picture actress?
Well, you made a mistake there, sir. No, sir.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Arlene Francis.
Well, now, as long as you're French, don't you want to talk in your own accent for a moment? Don't answer that question. I'd get a no. Now, let me see. You've appeared in the theater, have you?
Yeah, I did. Sure.
Have you played in motion pictures for some time?
Yeah.
Would you be considered a tall, handsome leading man?
I will answer that in the affirmative.
Well, I know you are, John. I want to know about him.
You get your yes.
Have you been in a play on Broadway in the last 2 years?
Yeah, I'd say that. Sure.
A Frenchman in a play, was it a legitimate play?
Yeah, it was.
Was it a serious play?
Rather, yeah.
Was it a play that was adapted from a story of André Gide's called The Immoralist?
Yes, it was.
Well, I never believed you could do that kind of an accent, Louis Jourdan.
That's right.
I can only say that Mr. Jourdan sounded like Abbott and Costello.
The R gave you away just a little bit in spots. Just in spots.
When you
but
said Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Right.
Hollywood. Hollywood will always give you away, Monsieur Jourdan.
Oh, yes.
And you were wonderful in The Immoralist, and I think you should come
He
back
was
to the
also
stage.
great in 3 Coins and a Fountain.
Yes.
And I know where you got that accent, Mr. Jourdan, playing croquet with Darryl Zanuck.
Maybe.
Well, sir, I must say thank you for everybody. You were just delightful as a guest, and I think we have given the panel something to think very seriously about. They won't count on any accents anymore at any time.
No.
Thanks very much. Would you say hello to the panel? All right, panel, let's see what you can do with another challenger. We will have to work a little bit more rapidly than usual. Would you sign in, please, ma'am? Barbara Villafora? Is that right? No middle initial I can put a period behind, huh?
No.
Where are you from? Is it Miss Villafora?
Yes.
Where are you from, miss?
Huntington, Long Island.
Huntington, Long Island. Will you look at the panel? Panel, will you look at Miss Villafora? Then, whoops, come with me. Sit you right down here. And we'll just go right into the free guess. They've had a very quick look at you, and we will begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she teaches the mambo.
Teaches the mambo, Mr. Lewis.
I'll bet she makes wonderful pasta fazool, and if she does, I want to marry her.
Ah, Miss Francis.
Well, Mrs. Villafora, I don't know what you do, but Villafora. Thank you, Bennett, sir.
I think Miss Villafora could double for Mamie Eisenhower.
Well, that's possibly true, but nobody has her line. So we'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Miss Barbara Villafora. At the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. All right. You know how we score this thing? We just flip the cards. You all set?
Yes.
All right, Miss Villafora is salaried. We have about 2 minutes to go, panel. We'll begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Miss Villafora, do you work at a job that keeps you at fairly regular hours?
No.
Doesn't keep you fairly regular hours?
No.
You work different hours. That's fine. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Do you work outdoors, Miss Villafora?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you work indoors?
Yes.
Very good. Good girl.
Do you deal in services?
Yes.
Do your services apply to both sexes?
Yes.
Are those sexes for real? I mean, are they human?
Yes.
The others
Are they adult?
Adult?
Yes.
Oh, are they young adult?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with teaching, what you do?
Yes.
You teach young people.
Yes.
Is it one subject that you teach rather than a variety of subjects?
No.
Wait a minute. I think we got a general classification.
Oh.
We'll give you a yes on that. You go ahead, Miss Dorothy. You've got time for about 2 questions.
Do you move about when you do your work?
Yes.
Is there something that requires athletics or dexterity? Are you a gym teacher?
Yes.
Yes, I think
Physical
physical
education?
instructor at the YMCA. We'll have to buy it. Very good,
Very
Dorothy.
good,
That's
guys.
great stuff. Now, you've all heard of a flip mood. Well, I'm in a flip mood tonight, and Miss Villafora told me beforehand that she would like to give what she won to the improvement fund of the Huguenot YMCA in New Rochelle. So I'm flipped. We'll flip the whole mess. Watch this. Thanks very much. It's nice to have you as our guest and What's My Life. Good night. We'll be back in just... Kilgallen's going back to Cleveland in the Shepherd case, so once again, it's good night and good reporting, Dorothy.
Thank you, John. Good night, Bob.
Good night, Dorothy. Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Bennett. Be a big smash in Illinois and Iowa this week, will you?
Do my best, Arlene. Good night, John.
And one final word. After 4 long years, we're going to lose our director, Franklin Heller, tonight to executive duties and wider production services at Goodson Todman, Inc. He's been a good counselor and a great friend, and I'm saying adieu for the whole panel and lots of luck to Franklin Heller. Good night, and thanks for being with us on What's My Life.
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Coughlin production in association with the CBS Television Network.